Imagine a child drawing before he could walk properly. A boy whose first word wasn't mama or papa, but piz, short for pencil. That boy was Pablo Picasso, and he would go on to fracture the very way we see the world. Picasso was born in Malaga, Spain, in 1881. His father, a painter and art teacher, quickly noticed something. His son could draw better at 9 years old than most adults could in a lifetime. By the time Pablo was 13, his father laid down his brushes forever, convinced the boy had surpassed him. But Picasso was restless. The realism he had mastered felt too confined. He craved more, something beyond copying what eyes could see. He wanted to paint what souls could feel. In his early 20s, poverty and tragedy struck. His closest friend died by suicide. Picasso sank into despair, and his canvas turned into a mirror of grief. This became the Blue Period, paintings of beggars, blind men, and sorrowful mothers. Cold, haunting blues covered his canvases. Through suffering, he discovered art could be more than beauty. It could be truth. But as life slowly brightened, so did his palette. He fell in love, moved to Paris, and surrounded himself with poets, circus performers, and fellow artists. His Rose Period was born. Warm, tender paintings filled with pinks and reds, acrobats and harlequins. Yet even this wasn't enough. Picasso was still searching, breaking boundaries like a scientist in a laboratory, and then made a discovery that would change art forever. One day, Picasso stood before African masks in a Paris museum, where bold shapes and raw power electrified him. Suddenly, he saw reality in a new way, not as a flat image, but as fragments, perspectives, layers, all at once. In 1907, he painted Les Demoiselles d'Avignon, with shocking, distorted bodies, fractured faces, jagged forms. Critics were horrified. Some said it was the death of painting. But in truth, it was a rebirth. Alongside Georges Braque, Picasso created Cubism, an artistic revolution that shattered the rules of perspective and rebuilt them into something the world had never seen. As Europe fell into turmoil, Picasso's art grew darker. In 1937, Nazi planes bombed the Spanish town of Guernica, killing thousands. Picasso responded not with weapons, but with paint. On a massive canvas, he unleashed Guernica, screaming horses, broken mothers, shattered bodies. In black, white, and gray, he captured the chaos of war better than any photograph ever could. This painting wasn't just art. It was protest, cry against brutality, and it became one of the most powerful anti-war statements in history. Picasso lived through nearly every major event of the 20th century, and his art reflected that restless spirit. He painted endlessly. Thousands of works in oil, sculpture, ceramics, drawings. He loved women passionately, sometimes destructively, and each left a trace on his canvases. He reinvented himself constantly, never satisfied, never still. When he died in 1973 at age 91, Picasso left behind not only an enormous body of work, but a revolution. He hadn't just painted differently, he had taught us to see differently. Picasso once said, "Every child is an artist." The problem is how to remain an artist once we grow up. Perhaps that was his greatest gift, to remind us that art is not about rules or perfection, but about imagination, freedom, and courage. Pablo Picasso was more than a painter. He was a restless genius who turned his life into a mirror of the 20th century. Fractured, chaotic, but also endlessly creative. If this story of Picasso inspired you, subscribe to the channel for more powerful biographies of history's greatest minds. More extraordinary lives are waiting to be discovered.